People of the internet, today we're going to learn why Marc Maron lashed out at the Rogansphere over the Saudi Arabia Comedy Festival. Let's go.
Well, there's a Riyadh Comedy Festival. I don't know if you heard about that. This is true. There's a Riyadh, Saudi Arabia Comedy Festival. I mean, how do you even promote that? You know, like, from the folks that brought you 9/11... 2 weeks of laughter in the desert. Don't miss it. I mean, the same guy that's going to pay them is the same guy that paid that guy to bonesaw Jamal Khashoggi and put him in a fucking suitcase. But don't let that stop the yucks. It's going to be a good time. Full disclosure, I was not asked to perform at the Riyadh Comedy Festival, so it's kind of easy for me to take the high road on this one. Easy to maintain your integrity when no one's offering to buy it out, you know.
Saudi Arabia.
It's crazy how hard Marc Maron is going in the paint right now. He is just going, something has ignited in Marc Maron, and he is just bloodthirsty for the Rogansphere. But if you look at it from an American standpoint, you have the whole 9/11 involvement. You have the genocide in Yemen that both America and Saudi Arabia have been cooperating in. You have the journalists, the freedom of speech. Even though the government has investments and fights wars with with Saudi Arabia, the American perception is that Saudi Arabia is bad, even though our government just still does. Trump does so many deals with Saudi Arabia. It's insane. So that is the perception that people are seeing this from in America. I don't know how other countries feel about it, but it's also funny that people are lashing out about this. But the boxing world, if you watch boxing, like, everything's in Riyadh. It's called Riyadh season, right? And they just didn't, they just did the Netflix one, Crawford Canelo. That was totally financed by Turki Al-Sheikh, I think. The guy that's basically buying up all sports for Saudi Arabia. So it's kind of funny how the boxing world isn't like that. And you look at the UFC's involved there. They do shows over there. You have to understand that in the business world and the political world, Saudi Arabia has so much fuck you money for thousands upon thousands upon thousands of years that they're literally buying up all of the entertainment and all of the sports and everything. That Saudi money is everywhere. Look at what they did to golf, right? So it's crazy that the backlash is coming from the comedy world, because this is the next step. The first couple steps was buy that golf, buy boxing. I think they even speaking Joe Rogan, they even have investments in the billiards world. I think they might have bought one of the best players. So it's crazy that this is happening, but it really hasn't gotten to this kind of level in any other sport or entertainment. But now comedy is the one where it's the straw that breaks the camel's back. It's pretty crazy.
Is set to host a major comedy festival in Riyadh, spanning late September through October, featuring some of the biggest names in international stand-up. Bill Burr.
Do you see? There's Bill Cosby right there. Now, if these guys tell you they have any values, any morals, or they try to get preachy on their pulpit with you, not only did they sell out to our country's perceived, I don't know what you would call them, at least socially perceived as not good people. They sold out to them. They also were willing to be on a ticket with Bill Cosby. Isn't that crazy? I'm sure that he is not going to remain on that ticket. In fact, let's just look. Let's look now here. I pulled it up earlier. Okay. So we're going backwards here. Look, there's Mark Normand. He got them all. The Saudis are like Pokemon. Got to catch them all, huh? There's Bad Friends, and they're doing their podcast. Sebastian, Andrew Schultz, and his podcast. Hannibal Buress, Sam Morrell, Tom Segura, Chris DiStefano, Kevin Hart. Of course, that guy sells out to everything. Dave Chappelle. Okay, so it looks like they got rid of Cosby. Or at least they're not putting him on the website. I don't know for sure. But that's crazy. These people will tell you all this shit. They'll preach on their podcast. They'll call other people out. They'll get involved politically and try and tell you what you should do. Fight for people's rights. And yet, all these podcasts talk about Cosby and all the disgusting shit he did. And a bunch of them have talked. I mean, Dave Smith has been on Joe Rogan talking about Yemen so many times. Dave Smith has been on a lot of these podcasts talking about political stuff. Bill Burr's talked about a lot of political stuff. Andrew Schultz has talked about a lot of political stuff. And if Andrew Schultz was trying to distance himself from all the Trump claims and Trump support he made, he's going and working for Trump's biggest business partner. And if you didn't know, Trump has made the majority of Trump's net worth, you can look this up, the majority of Trump's net worth has been made since he's taken office. 200-something days. He's made more money in 200-something days than he did his entire life. Isn't that crazy? And you can talk about his crypto deal. You can talk about the hotel deals. He's made billions from deals with Saudis and all the other deals he's made while he's been president. And Andrew Schultz is trying to be like, oh, I don't like this. I don't like it. And then you go and support the same person that's paying the guy you're trying to distance yourself from. It's all hypocritical, man. The only saying, if you want to do detective work on any of this shit, the only thing you have to know, you don't have to know anything else. You don't have to know anything about him. Follow the money, and it will tell you everything about these guys. Because this is exactly what people need to see. So you know, and you look at Bill Burr, I think the lower paid comedians are making something like $300,000. What's Bill Burr making? What's Dave Chappelle making? It's crazy, right?
Burr, Tom Segura, Bobby Lee, Aziz Ansari, Hannibal Buress, Dave Chappelle, Jimmy Carr, Pete Davidson, and others are on the lineup. The event is being promoted as part of Saudi Arabia's broader push to showcase itself as a cultural hub under its Vision 2030 initiative. Yet beneath the glossy marketing lies a controversy that has ignited debate across comedy circles, podcasts, and social media.
Guys, it's that special time of year. It's the Riyadh Comedy Festival. And all of your favorite comedians are performing at the pleasure of Turki Al-Sheikh. And
there he is, yeah.
Is the head of the entertainment authority over there, and he has so many people thrown in prison because they tweeted stuff he didn't like about the soccer team or whatever, that there's a wing of a prison nicknamed after him where they hang people by their heels from the ceiling. Now there's a lot of drips, killjoys, and dweebazoids who are saying, oh, they shouldn't do comedy over there because it's whitewashing a regime that just in June killed a journalist and killed Jamal Khashoggi and played a big role in 9/11. Shut up. Name one comedian who hasn't whored themselves out to a dictator. Sinbad, in the 80s, would go perform for dying Nazis hidden out in Argentina. Mr. Bean would do private shows for Idi Amin. Me and Bibi Netanyahu have collaborated. I pitched him a prank show called The West Bank, where it's hilarious. Like, people in masks show up and eject people from their homes, and they're terrified. They just traumatize these families, and then they can never come home. And it's been going on for years, but this season has been like action-packed. And it's a prank show, but there's also a true crime element because it violates international law and people have been killed a lot. Let's not get our, moral panties yanked up, wedged high in our rumps. Human Rights Watch has been begging the comedians not to participate in the whitewashing of the horrors that are ongoing in Saudi Arabia. Ugh, what a cockblock Human Rights Watch is for comedy. Let's have some fun, let's have some yucks, and let's not look too closely at anything. I'm a hypocrite too.
Human rights organizations have argued that the festival is an attempt to whitewash the country's poor record on free speech, political dissent, and the treatment of journalists. The event happens to coincide with the anniversary of the murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi, and Saudi courts continue to sentence writers and analysts to death for expressing opinions deemed offensive by the state. These realities cast a long shadow over the festival, raising questions about whether participation amounts to complicity in image laundering. Marc Maron has become one of the most vocal critics of the festival and of comedians who accepted invitations. In a recent appearance, he questioned how performers could even promote such an event given the political context. He highlighted the contradiction of comedians, long champions of free expression, choosing to appear in a country where speech can carry severe consequences.
It's crazy too, because I think that's actually an initiative of Saudi Arabia, is to basically entertainment and sports is to buy up as much as they can. And you'll see that a lot of our politicians are in debt to these people or in their pocket. And it's corruption. Every country has all of this corruption. Some could argue, or most likely, that America has caused more death and destruction than anybody else has in the last 100 years. But the thing is this is happening here in America, and the problem is Americans see this as betrayal. Americans see this as contradiction, corruption, selling out, all of these things. And Marc Maron is the comedian that's expressing that and standing for what he believes in. And whether you like Marc Maron or not, you have to respect that, because right or wrong, Marc Maron has taken a stand for what he believes in. And these other comedians obviously aren't. You know, you can't go on a podcast and cry about free speech and being an American and making sacrifices and doing the right thing, and then you do this. It's just not a good look, and it's not a good thing to do to Americans. The politicians, they're all in bed. They're all doing dealings with these people, but it's more of a betrayal of the people, because I feel like the people are the only ones that remember any kind of moral value in society, while the guys running our government are doing everything they can to get rich and fuck us.
He also suggested that the decision to perform boils down to money, remarking that integrity is easy to keep when no one is buying it out.
There's just a moment in the documentary where you're just talking about, it's like, people say I'm jealous. It's like, yeah, of course. It's like somebody gets paid $100 million to. It's like, of course I'm going to feel something.
It's not that I want $100 million necessarily. No. It's just sort of like, who would get that kind of money for that?
Why is anybody getting it?
And like, don't get me started about the Riyadh Comedy Festival. All these huge acts, I can name names, but you can just go look it up, were offered complete ridiculous amounts of the bloodiest money on the planet.
Yeah.
I can maintain this position because one, I wasn't asked.
Yeah, of course. That's always with me.
And I don't think I'd go. I know I wouldn't. But it's like, does history not matter at all? I mean, literally, it's like the Riyadh Comedy Festival from the guys who brought you 9/11.
It's just,
do you know what I mean? It's like, is that just nostalgia? Your check's being signed by the guy that chainsawed a journalist.
What fuels the backlash further is the irony surrounding Bill Burr.
Yeah, I think so too.
Mocked the idea of comedians jetting off to dubious gigs for a payday, turning the concept into material about hypocrisy and selling out. Now he is doing exactly what he once ridiculed, a reversal that Maron and others see as emblematic of how financial opportunity can trump principle.
Because no one ever raises money for terrorists, right? I guess, unless you do a comedy show in, like, Saudi Arabia. Isn't that what they do? You know, that's how they raise money, with their filthy fucking oil money.
Not all comedians are following
That's actually crazy. Like Bill Burr knows. That's even worse. Because it's just, you know what they're doing over there. You know that if you live in our country and your perception, and then you find out what they're doing and the social perception of Saudi Arabia, and you know it exactly. You say it on your show, and then you go do it. Here's the thing. Life, who knows what's right or wrong? These people could be doing the right thing and we're complete idiots. But we've created a society where we've created some values, and we're in this position to kind of treat our fellow man good, respect them, do as little harm as possible, and keep people safe and let them express themselves. Well, Saudi Arabia doesn't do that, obviously, but in America we do. And Bill Burr knows, he preaches these things. He preaches these values. He complains about shit all the time when people aren't doing the right thing. And then he verbally confirms that he knows what Saudi Arabia is all about. And he still goes. And hell, he has no responsibility to our beliefs and what we think are right. But if we were going to make a decision or had to make a choice on this, it's just it's hypocrisy. Whether or not at the end of the day, life is meaningless and it's survival of the fittest, and this social world we have created, it's hypocrisy. That's all it is. And Bill Burr is often the biggest critic, the loudest mouth, and the most vocal about hypocrites.
Suit. Shane Gillis reportedly declined to participate, citing discomfort with the politics involved. Tim Dillon initially
just had to say it. You could tell Shane's a good old Midwest boy. He's a fuck no, I ain't going to no Saudi Arabia. Get the fuck out of here. He's American. He's just American. Shane Gillis said, hell nah. Go on with your bad self. Tim Dillon, I'm surprised. Yes, Tim Dillon did initially agree. He, I don't know why he didn't. Let's go.
Agreed to perform, but was allegedly dropped after making jokes critical of Saudi leadership and human rights abuses.
We all know Tim Dillon is a sellout. He said it on his podcast he would sell out. We all, like, if you trust Tim Dillon or believe a fucking word that comes out of his mouth, there's something up here that's just not ticking quite right. I can't look at it. And everyone, Tim Dillon, he's so accurate. Okay, whatever. Simp on, simp boy. But here's the thing. Here's the thing about Tim Dillon. And it's always been a thing. This guy was a scumbag motherfucker before he was a comedian, because he sold those subprime mortgages to people and has no regret, no remorse, anything. I knew a guy who was a realtor, and we were friends, and I didn't know how long he was in the business, but maybe a couple years after I knew him, he made some joke about 2008 and how he was just slinging those subprimes and they were all getting rich off of it, and he was just like, fuck them. He said they would come in the office, we'd see him, and boom, hit him with a subprime. And after he said that to me, I just could not fucking take that guy serious, nor look at him in a good light. Because how can you get rich off of things that harm people and their livelihood? I don't understand that. And yeah, Tim Dillon, dude's a fucking scumbag. He is a sleazy car salesman, realtor. I hate realtors more than anything. You know what I hate most about realtors? Is those fucking Instagram and TikTok and all them bullshit ass motivationals, go get some Grant Cardone and level up your life bullshit that they sell. Real estate agents, dude, if you want to get rich in the motivational business, just go to real estate agents. They will literally buy anything. We got to work 24/7. Bitch, you're just showing motherfucking houses. You are literally unlocking the door and saying, this is a bathroom, that's your toilet, and that's where you can let the dog play in the yard. There ain't nothing motherfucking to it. Oh, what are you busy doing? They always like, booked and busy, booked and busy. Shut the fuck up. Goddamn fucking realtors, man. They make my skull. I can't stand them, and all that that motivational bullshit is just a hustle and a scam. And they fucking suck that thing up through a fucking pipe.
My agent called me and he goes, you said on Joe Rogan that you were performing in Abu Dhabi, and you're actually performing in Dubai. They're cities and they have a rivalry. And I go, dude, who gives a fuck? What do I stop? I made a mistake. This is not a malicious slander. It's a mistake. He goes, well, they're very angry and they sent an email that you need to be controlled. I said, well, good luck. Whatever. I don't have to do it. I don't care. And then he called me a few days later, and I thought he was going to talk about the Kimmel thing. But he called me and he said, they heard what you said about them having slaves. And I said, I was being positive about it. I was defending them. He goes, well, I know that. I know you were defending them. I said, I was defending them for having slaves. I literally said, slaves are probably hard workers and, for the most part, agreeable.
The debate over the Riyadh Comedy Festival underscores a broader ethical tension. One side argues that by performing in Saudi Arabia, comedians lend legitimacy to a regime that suppresses free speech and punishes dissent, effectively becoming part of its propaganda machine. The other side insists that art and comedy transcend politics, that reaching audiences in restrictive societies can be valuable, and that the decision to perform should remain a personal one, not a moral referendum. Ultimately, the controversy is not just about one festival, but about what it means for comedians to claim authenticity and freedom of speech while accepting lucrative opportunities in places where those very freedoms are denied. Maron's criticism, paired with the visible contradictions of figures like Burr, has ignited a discussion that stretches far beyond the comedy world. It forces fans and performers alike to reckon with whether art can truly remain separate from politics, or whether participation in events like these inevitably carries the weight of complicity.
Yo, this is crazy. This is crazy. I just don't get it. And that thing about bringing people that are restricted and censored, the good news of the comedy gospel will give them hope and hope that there is a chance to be the real you and have freedom of speech. I think that's all bullshit, because none of them would be over there if they weren't getting them fat checks. That is a fact. That is a fact. And look, let them make you laugh, listen to their stupid podcast stories. But when these guys try to preach morals, values, integrity, doing the right fucking thing, don't give them any of your time and don't listen, because these guys obviously are out for themselves. And hey, it's your life. You can truly do that. There ain't nothing wrong with it if you want to be just after yourself. But the problem is you claim and you preach and you stand up at your pulpit and says, the Almighty Lord says, and whatever you have to say that day, and then you go do the exact opposite. You can be who you want to be, but if you're a hypocrite, that's one of the things that people really, really don't like, and it makes them angry. But hey, they're going to be living up in the mansion, so what the fuck do they care about? Let me know what you think in the comments. Peace.